Have you ever wanted a system that can play Famicom, Super Famicom, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance games? No? I hate you then. This is the Retron 5! Just take a look at this! You get a couple Hyperkin and a Retron 5 sticker. Perhaps that was the most important part. And there's also the system. They've also got you covered with those other wacky power outlet adapters. And it also comes with an instruction manual. One of the nice things they could have included in this instruction manual, though, is the fact you have to hold the power button. I sat there pressing it a few times, getting annoyed, thinking I got sent a broken system. Because you actually have to hold it for quite a decent amount of time before it powers up. The Retron 5 comes in two color schemes. I chose the gray one because with the gray and purple it's like a Super Nintendo, which I'm sure was the idea. It's got game slots on the top of it for the Famicom, NES, Super Nintendo / Super Famicom, and the Genesis or Mega Drive. The slot for any of the Game Boy games is located on the front. The Retron 5 comes with a pretty nice wireless controller that you can charge right into the system with a mini USB cord. Though I don't understand why this controller has an analog stick when none of the systems it covers ever used one. Also, I don't get why it's so clicky. But one of the really nice things about this system is the fact you can plug in controllers for the NES, SNES, or Genesis, and it's got ports for 2 players for each. I was a little sad that even though you can plug it in, an Atari controller will not work at all. Famicom controllers plugged into the Sega Genesis port don't seem to work either. Now I'm sure like with most people, their first thought when they got the Retron 5 was, let's pop in the magic of my favorite game! Heh, easy for you to say, Retron 5. On the back, it's got a port for the HDMI, which is also one of the particularly nice features of this thing, is you'll be able to get a really clear pixely picture. The Retron 5 does have some smoothing filter options, which look weird, but I guess if you hate pixels, the multiple options are there to pretend they don't exist. I slightly hate it to all eternity, so it's not for me. Also, if you want to go the other way, you can add in scan lines or even overscan. Those are there so you can pretend you're not playing on the Retron 5? Seriously though, it's nice to have the options, even if I don't particularly care about any of them. And speaking of options, one of the last they added was the ability to use Game Genie codes. Which is perfect, because otherwise you'll never get anywhere with any of these games. You can grab the codes from the computer and then transfer them over with the SD card slot on the back that I'm testing with a card from the Dark Ages. You can also do save states on either the built-in memory or on the SD card. So, how easy is it to play the games on the Retron 5? Let's find out. And, okay. No card inserted. Only when I try to pull it out will it try to detect it. Ugh. It keeps trying to detect it when I go to pull it out. There we go. Unknown cartridge. Don't know Super Mario 3. So apparently this can be a little bit of a pain in the ass. And Super Mario 3! There we go. Now let's try to play Super Mario 3 with a Sega controller. Pretend that's a real Sega Genesis controller. Alright, you plug that in and it immediately will control the menu, which is nice. That's exactly what I was hoping for, is to be able to play it with either controller. I don't know how you do select with a Sega Genesis controller. Maybe you can't. Because A is A. That's weird. Ugh. These are reversed. It's very weird. So even if you aren't using the Retron 5's wireless controller, they still give you a shortcut on any controller to reach the menu. Down and start! Looks like Smoke's screwed again! Toasty! Oh, that's nice. If you have a save state of the game you just put in, it'll pop it up in the corner. But now, let's play Sonic 1 with the Nintendo controller! Oh, I'm bad! Yeah, that's fine. Look at this. Don't have enough buttons. Because, you know, Sonic uses all the buttons. I need 3 buttons for jump. I don't know what I'd do without 3 buttons for jump. So something I thought you'd be able to do for sure is have all the different types of cartridges in their slots at the same time and just select which one you want to load up from the menu, but no, that gives you an error. It's actually quite hard to get cartridges out of this thing too, which is slightly annoying. Alright, so when the Retron 5 works properly, it dumps the games and emulates them. So yeah, basically you're just playing your cartridges on an emulator. And that of course is going to lead to a few differences compared to running them off of the actual hardware. But as long as it detects a game properly, it'll even import your save data from the cart, which is quite nice. You can even do this in the reverse and send a save file made on the Retron to the actual cartridge as long as it's supported. Though it seems to run a lot of the games pretty smoothly, certain games might be a bigger pain in the ass to get to detect properly. And if it doesn't want to detect a game with save data correctly, it won't import the saves, and no matter how many times I tried, it would not properly load FF3. It would play it fine, but just say it was unknown. For whatever reason though, certain games seem to have a harder time working properly on the Retron. Punch-Out in particular really didn't want to load up for me correctly. Then it would load it, but it didn't want to recognize it. And that's maybe because it's extra pixely. I've made a huge mistake. Not really. That Red Death round was fun. I'm guessing at the end of round 3, it tried to run round 4, leading to the blank round. So, it looks like you can certainly get some interesting fuck-ups with the Retron 5. So I can't get to acknowledge Final Fantasy III, but it knows Taboo, The Sixth Sense. There's just some games it shouldn't know. All I wanted to know was if I was cool! How many cards does this take? You're not even answering the question! Now, if you know me and you know my show Bootleg Zones, unsurprisingly, I was hoping the Retron 5 would be able to play a lot of bootleg and unlicensed games. Let's see how well it does with those. First off, we'll give it something nice and easy, a 10-gen cartridge. So the first time running Miss Pac-Man, it didn't work quite right, unless you always thought it should be called Dis-Rack-Can with Brinky, Inky, Rinky, and Swug. Oh, and don't forget Rack-Can and Dis-Rack-Can. Also, I can finally fight Legend of Zelda pancake stacks instead of ghosts. I always wanted that in Dis-Rack-Can. Though the second time putting Miss Pac-Man in, it ran it properly and even recognized the 10-gen cart. The multi-cart 76-in-1 couldn't be detected at all by the Retron 5, and then the Quattro multi-cart asked me if I put in a SNES cartridge backwards. I don't know how you'd manage that or if that's a common occurrence, but I also really don't understand why it asks that when it at least knows I'm using the NES slot. Also, it seemed the Quattro cartridge really screwed it up as it didn't want to detect official cartridges after that until a reset. Almost all Famicom cartridges tried were a miss. either not detecting anything or asking me again if I put a SNES cartridge in backwards. The only Famicom cartridge I actually got to work was Rockman X. You know him, the stinky blue boomerang bomber. P.U. Take a bath, Rookman X. What I actually had the most success with was Pirate Genesis cartridges, though still some of those didn't want to work. And the Mega Drive multi-cart I tried just automatically booted up one game from the list. But at least I can play my favorite Glory Sun title, 28 People Mortal Kombat 6, and take Strike Tom McCage to the Mortal Kombat Championship. Of the two SNES pirates I have, it thought Pokemon was in backwards again, but at least it's the right slot this time. And Dragon Ball Z Final Bout, which actually is Butoden 2, was even detected properly. With Pokemon Strange Gold, it knew something was there, but the best I could get was a flashy white screen. Any other regular Game Boy pirate I tried didn't want to do anything. However, Game Boy Advance pirates seem to work perfectly, so I can finally play some good old Frigo Returns. It's a really nice system, and I was able to get to eventually properly recognize and play all the official games I tried in it. Except FF3, which it claimed to be too cool to know. I love a lot of the features it has, and the fact a save state will be brought up when you resume a game. There's always going to be a bit of a difference, though, when you're playing a game through emulation rather than through the hardware. Also, it was a miss on almost every Famicom game tried in it, and a toss-up on others if it'd work, pretend it wasn't there, or think I put a SNES cartridge in backwards. Since it has a system menu, I wouldn't have thought being able to choose which game you wanted to run would be a big deal with multiple carts inserted. Also, some carts, even official ones, not just the bootlegs, were quite a pain to eject afterwards. 8. I love that they've given us a system able to run all these types of carts for the most part, and it even comes with a pretty nice controller as well. But what's super nice is them giving you the option to play with the actual system's controllers. 9. I wouldn't have thought it'd be so hard to get the Retron 5 to detect some games, so it was a bit picky at times. I was also obviously hoping it'd be able to run more of the bootleg games, but it's not too big a shock that it blanked on some of those. Other than that and the eject issue, the system runs really nice. Just remember to hold the power button for a while. 7. The box does its job. It's pretty average, so for the Retron 5, it's 5. And the MMZ overall is 9. If you want a system that can run all these games, gives you a really nice picture while doing it, and lets you play with the original controllers, this is a system you should look into. If you want to play stupid bootleg junk, maybe not. That's my review of the Retron 5. It casts you entirely in red when it fucks up Punch-Out, apparently. Hi guys, check out my Patreon for early mid-roll free episodes, meaning no ads will play in the middle, and other perks.